Hello everybody, today's video is an unboxing of a pair of Loake Oxfords.
Bought in London, England.
Okay, so let's go. Hello everybody, it's Robert Powers.
4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection.
These are made of shell cord.
Here they are finished up. I'm not a professional.
Look how tight this is, though.
Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half. And here they are, all finished up.
Okay, as I said in the intro, we've got an unboxing here, and
Yeah.
I can already smell them. They smell great.
Yes.
You wanna explain like where these shoes came from?
Yes, I can. So these came from London, England, Jermyn Street, and goodness gracious, yes, these shoes have already got a carbon footprint because, well, they're here in Ohio.
Okay, shall I?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Loake. Now, 1880 is the model line, correct? Okay. All right. And these obviously have a Dainite sole on them. Yeah, I see that. Do you mind talking about like how much you paid and why?
Yes.
Okay.
So I paid £170, British pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the mathematics for that is around about $210 now.
US.
Lots of people have instantaneously calculated a pair of Allen Edmonds and worked out that these are cheaper than a pair of Allen Edmonds. They're what they'd call seconds, but
Is that the R?
Yes.
Because the sticker says outlet, and then it says was 265 170.
Yes.
But you said what is the full price on this if it was not a second?
I think that's the full price. You just
265?
Yes,
Okay.
265.
Okay, so about 300,
Round
something
about.
like that.
Yes, so about the same price as a set of factory non-reject. Sorry, not
Not a factory second.
not a factory second
First
of
quality.
Allen Edmonds. If you don't get the second of these, they're about the same price as Allen Edmonds, and about the same level of quality. Stacked heel.
Okay. Well, why don't I turn the camera around and we'll take a closer
Yes,
look.
let's do that.
Okay, so here's what I see. First of all, it's a cap-toe Oxford, right? Oops. So obviously cap-toe Oxford, if you don't know, that means you see these flaps are underneath the vamp, so you have the closed lacing system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyelet. From a style standpoint, I don't see anything extraordinary or out of the ordinary, or, you know, this is a very traditional styled shoe. The last shape, it's a little, it's not really a chisel toe, I guess. It's not an almond toe, but it's got a little bit of a squared off toe on it. And from this standpoint here, some of the shoes are very angular at the toe. It's not, you know, out of the ordinary, I guess. It's got a nice classic shape to it, I guess. You may have some problems with people with wide feet, I think. I'm not sure here because of how this side of the shoe cuts in. The leather feels not very nice. It feels soft, you know, not overly soft, and it's got nice tight, it looks like grain structure. It's definitely full grain leather, and with these lighter colors it's easier to see the flaws. I don't see any flaws in like what they call the cutting out the leather is called clicking, right? I see double stitching here and around the toe cap, and they look very balanced and symmetrical. Now, didn't you just say that these were made not by their master craftsmen, right?
That's correct, which is why they are what you would, to use Allen Edmonds is parlance, factory seconds.
That's interesting though, but I don't see anything wrong with them. I see the stitch density. Actually, by your left foot, there's a couple Allen Edmonds shoes if you want to grab one.
Yes.
The stitch density is definitely, that's a Florsheim, I'm sorry. The stitch density here is definitely higher than an Allen Edmonds. Here's an Allen Edmonds made in 2018-19. If I can compare, it might be hard to see. Maybe if I flip it upside down. So there's the Loake, and there's the Allen Edmonds. Maybe if I do it this way. I don't know if you can actually tell. But the stitch, the Allen Edmonds is about 7 or 8 stitches per inch. This looks like more like about 4 to me, maybe 5. Thank you. So a nice high stitch density. And another thing that you kind of look for, I guess, in the Dainite soles is trying to center these lugs. Right, so I think number one is where you don't want the stitches like it almost runs off. I think they did a pretty good job. I don't think that's the easiest thing in the world. Like there you see where the stitches almost run in, but they don't go into the lug itself. Maybe that's what they're talking about, where the master craftsman would have done that better. You see there's a little bit more space, but now that's nitpicking to me. You know, where this one, it's off, they're both off that way, just a tad, but I've seen a lot of Allen Edmonds where it runs through the ditch there. Very nice. And I was looking at the heels, so I don't know what the heel stack is made of, but it looks like it's two different pieces of leather. It's very nicely finished. There's the welt joint. This is always a piece of controversy on Goodyear Welted shoes. This piece of leather here, the top one, obviously you see the rubber sole and the leather welt. It's a strip of straight leather, so it has to join somewhere. It's not a perfect welt joint, but that's a decent welt joint, right? You can see the little bit of a lip there, and actually, you see it's not perfectly trimmed. Can you guys see that? It's a little piece of leather sticking up. That's okay. Very functional, okay? And they always put that joint, usually it's supposed to, not always, but it's supposed to go on the inside of the shoe, just back of that heel. So here's the other shoe. Now look how nice that one is. That one's almost invisible. Do you see the welt joint there? That one's really nice. So you see the difference? And again, this is still pretty nice, you know? But if you want to grab those,
Yeah.
I'll compare it to the Allen Edmonds here. You know, again, a functional welt joint. But you can see where this one, see in comparison, this, it shouldn't be that far forward. It should be definitely back here. You see the difference? You can see the V there, and it's not really overlapped, so it's still acceptable, it's still functional, but anyway, you're gonna have some differences. That's why some shoes are, you know, $300 range, and, you know, some are $800.
Where do you think the price point is between where you start you start paying and seeing the difference, and then the point of diminishing returns becomes so much less?
Well, I don't want to speak too much because I haven't owned a lot of these high-end brands. Like some of them, like Alden, I've had because I found them thrifting and flipped them,
yes,
but not bought them new. When you go from Allen Edmonds to, which an Allen Edmonds to me is really a $250 to $350 shoe is really what it is, even though they're generally $400, you know, $395 full retail.
Yeah.
They run sales so often is why I say that. So when you go from that $250 to $350 to like the Aldens, which I think are in the $5s,
yes,
it seems like that's where you start to, you know, have the higher stitch density. You know, like for example here, you see how it's pretty nice, although it's a little bit closer to the edge here than here. You know, where you get things like that where the channel, the groove is very even, you know, those kind of really fine details seem to really come. I think it's in the $500 range.
Right.
I mean, but then you get like Hacienda Girling, you're getting into $800 and
yes, but you're also getting a fiddleback waist.
Yes.
You're getting
Yes.
What's the thing where they the stitches are hidden? Sorry.
yeah, I did a hidden channel stitching, like
Thank
closed
you.
channel
Yes.
stitching. Very
Yeah.
true, very true.
But I think after you've got a fiddleback waist, after you've got the closed channel stitching, your point of diminishing returns becomes certainly less and less.
Yes. All right, I'm going to nitpick again here.
Yeah.
It's like one little tiny finishing issue there. Right. But in general, I mean, just from what I've seen with a typical Allen Edmonds shoe, and I'm using that as my benchmark, I would say these are better finished than a typical Allen Edmonds. Like even that surface quality, you know, is what I would say typically. But a lot of times on the Allen Edmonds, I've noticed you'll see like the ridges, you know, meaning I think they, you know, there's a rotating sander and they buzzed it through too quick to, you know, not get that smooth mirror finish. I do like though, what I really like about the Dainite sole shoes, it's neat. I think you see the leather, rubber, leather, rubber. I just think that contrast looks really nice.
These are my first Dainite sole shoes that I own.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a set of these that had the leather, but I thought that they were not unique enough compared to my Allen Edmonds.
Got it. That makes sense.
And to be honest, they were a little bit too much to buy for something that looked very similar to an Allen Edmonds.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So let me point out one other difference. Are these, I believe, 270-degree Goodyear welted, correct? I'm pretty sure, right? Because if you look at the top of the welt, let me get it on camera, I don't see any stitches. So in other words, the stitching, I believe, stops here, which is basically about 3/4 of the way around the shoe. They call that, I think this is 270° Goodyear Welted. Now, if you notice as well, there is a leather sock liner insole that goes from there to here. And the reason you're always on a 270 Goodyear Welted shoe, you're always going to have a sock liner. Well, it does have some added benefit here. If I open up the shoe a little bit, then you can put a padding. I don't know if you can tell. It's hard to see in the lighting, but there is padding that ends right there. I can squish it, I can feel it. So there's a little bit extra padding there, but you have to have the sock liner because they're going to nail through the insole. They're going to put nails through the insole to hold that heel block on, okay? So 270, because there's no stitching, you have to have something other than the stitches to hold the heel block and the sole to the insole. Versus if you see the Allen Edmonds, this is 370° Goodyear Welted. I'm sorry, 360°, where the stitching goes all the way around the back of the heel. But what's interesting is you will see, here, let me get another pair of shoes. This is just a pair of Johnston & Murphy's, but they're a pair of their older ones that are done very nicely, made in the USA, Johnston & Murphy's. And you can see here, 270° Goodyear Welted. Again, it has a sock liner, right? Because it has to cover those nails. You see, they're able to cut the heel closer to the upper of the shoe. And it's kind of interesting where they chose not to really do that. They still give you a little bit of a larger heel. Now, granted, this one is larger still because of that storm welt that sticks out, but, just something interesting to point out. Every shoemaker is going to do it a little bit differently. So, right? And that's part of the reason, right? You got to take a look and see how the shoe makes you feel.
Yes, they were, and these shoes are remarkably comfortable. So the leather you see is exactly as it came from the shop. I have not put any sapphire, renovateur, no mink oil on them, so there's no darkening, there's no lightening. Obviously, I'm going to put some mink oil and some renovateur on them, and just give them, because I don't know how long the leather is, when the last leather was last nourished.
Right, that's true. It's very true. And what is it? Oh, Aldwych, ALDWYCH, capital. That's kind of odd. Okay, so I'm trying to see this. So this is size 9, right? 9 UK.
9 UK.
So this is 10 US. Okay. Then it looks like they have some other information on there. It's made in England. That's pretty cool. Well, maybe at this point, what we'll let you do is, should we have you break them in and then we'll kind of get a report back?
Report back.
Okay, so it has now been how long since you got the Loakes?
My Loakes, it's been a week since we last recorded, and I have been wearing my Loake shoes now for 3 days. So let's be kind and say 20 hours of footwear time.
Okay. And I believe Allen Edmonds, anyway, on a single oak sole recommended break-in is about 40, so they're probably mostly broken in.
Yes, and obviously these are a Dainite or Vibram, I'm not sure.
They were Dainite, right?
Yes, Dainite. A Dainite sole. So it's a smidgen difference, but not a huge amount. You do notice that the sole has a lot more flexibility.
Oh, really?
As you wear them, and obviously the heat applies to the foot, the rubber. Towards the end of the day, they do feel a smidgen more. That's going to be my word for the week. A smidgen more flexible, and I think that's just the rubber has warmed up.
Okay. Now, I've never had a pair of shoes with Dainite soles on them. Just from a pure, let me talk about comfort, and I think there's comfort as in you can put on a slipper and it feels very comfortable, but if you try to walk 10,000 steps, your feet will be hurting.
Yes.
So how about initial comfort and that I'm walking 5 miles today comfort? How do you, the Dainite sole versus leather?
Right. Oh, so very good. So these Dainite soles, and maybe you can reference this as a clip from the previous video, have studs, have ripples, have buttons on them. Not studs in the same way of sort of cleats, but they are knobbly, shall we say. Now, when I wore them for the first time, and when I wore them outside on hard concrete, I could feel the buttons, the cleats, the knobbles.
I wondered about that. Okay.
Yeah, and I could feel them under my big toe. I could feel them on the ball of my foot, and I was like, "Oh, have I bought something that is just unwearable?" And obviously they've not worn down because the soles wouldn't wear down in that sort of level of time. But I haven't noticed them day two. I didn't notice them at all. So I don't know why that would be, because this is actually my first Dainite sole experience as well. You said you have none, but this is my first. And it's interesting. The reason I bought the Dainite was because I have 3 pairs of Allen Edmonds, of which all 3 have been on your channel.
Right. Yep.
In fact, one was created on your channel, the blue
ones.
pair,
Yeah, that
yes.
was awesome.
And they are all leather soles, obviously with the cork. So these, I actually bought them deliberately here where we are in Ohio, and you do get snow on the ground. You do get different, the weather in the summer is very different from the weather in the winter. And I thought that these could be my smart shoes for frost on the ground,
Right.
and other weather that I would be skating rather than walking with
makes sense.
a rubber sole.
That makes sense. Any other comments? How do they feel? How do they compare to your 3 pairs of Allen Edmonds?
I think they are either almost the same or a tiny little bit better, a smidgen, almost. The Allen Edmonds do the ones that I have had, which are the Park Toe,
Park Avenue.
Park Avenue. Sorry, yes.
Cap toe.
Cap toe. You get blisters. You get blisters for the first time you wear them.
Right.
Obviously, if you put a Band-Aid on, you put a plaster on your heel, you'll never get the blister. You do that, preemptively. There's been
Just during the break-in, let's be clear.
Yes, just during the break.
It's well worth it to get them broken in, get that cork, the cork bed and the leather insole to mold to your foot.
Absolutely. So I've had no blisters. I've had no hot points, no sore points, no pinch points, and they have really felt perfect from the very first wear. Now, obviously,
That's interesting. It could partially be because you have a rubber sole that's more flexible versus leather. It could be because of the difference in leather quality of the uppers. It could be because the last just fits you better. It's really hard to say, right?
well, yes, but these are not wide. So my Allen Edmonds are wide, and I have wide feet. Therefore, I would have, with that logic, it would have been the Allen Edmonds would be more comfortable. And these are actually slightly narrower shoes, and if anything, I'd be having more. I was expecting my foot to be warmer, to be more compressed. And that could actually be the case, that there's less room moving around inside the shoe.
Which fit do you prefer now?
I think my Allen Edmonds.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Trying not to. I'm doing all sorts of ums today. I think it's hard to describe, but let me try. I think this is a slightly narrower fit. I think that.
And hang on, there's probably less selection of widths with them, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. These are British shoes with British feet inside.
Right.
Does that make a difference? Who knows? The Allen Edmonds are obviously an American design and built for the American market. Could there be? Could there be anything to that? I do not know.
Last question then.
Yes.
You're going on a trip, business trip. You know you're going to be walking miles, 10, 15, maybe I've had conferences where I recorded 18,000 miles, which I think is like 18,000 steps, which is probably north of 8 or 9 miles. Which shoes are you taking?
I'm going to take my Allen Edmonds.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, the cork really does make the difference. Now, if what you didn't specify is the time of the year, the time of the season.
Very true. Okay.
If-
Because of the Dainite, if there was a little bit of water wet,
Yes.
a little bit of slush. Okay.
Yes, I would probably wear these.
Okay.
And if a bit of my walk was going to be on grass, I could potentially choose these as well, these over
Okay.
them. Yes,
Okay.
but in a carpeted conference hall, a carpeted office, I think I'd prefer the Allen Edmonds.
Okay.
Yes. These shoes are a little bit less money than Allen Edmonds
At full price.
at full price.
Full price Allen Edmonds would be what, $395, and these full price were
$370.
276 pounds.
So about
A little over three. That's what, 315.
yes.
So that's like an Allen Edmonds on sale.
An Allen Edmonds on sale. Yes.
Okay, but you got them for less than that because those were
Seconds. Yes.
Okay.
So these shoes perhaps now see Loake does command a sort of a heritage. And
yes.
does command a level of gosh wow
Right.
that Allen Edmonds does not come with.
For people that know shoes.
For people that know shoes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it is kind of fun to say these were purchased in England, so.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so it sounds like they're a really good value. Not necessarily the best shoe overall, but I think for what you paid, and the fit and finish for factory second was really good.
Absolutely. And I do not have a sort of a light brown. I have a dark chili,
Okay.
which is a dark brown, slightly
With a
red,
red hue.
With
Uh-huh.
a red hue. So these actually fit into my wardrobe in a gap that
Right.
wasn't covered. Yes.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think that Loake have been absolutely fantastic. I recommend them. In some ways, it may appear that Allen Edmonds holds the edge over them, but I do not necessarily feel that would continue. I think that if I started buying more expensive, if I really started going down the rabbit hole of
Right.
Loake shoes and was buying some more top of the range, then that could I think the Loake shoes could have potential to accelerate
Okay.
past.
And I will say this though, I think one of the big advantages of Allen Edmonds over a lot of other higher end shoe brands. I talked about this with John, the Wisconsin shoe guy. He has a couple hundred pairs of shoes. They have physical stores you can fit. At least in the continental U.S. I'm in Northeast Ohio. We have one store. Generally speaking, in most urban areas, continental U.S., you're within driving distance of a store, and that combined with having multiple different widths, I think that's one of their larger edges. Because
Yes.
you're buying. We're probably not going to England and picking them up while we're touring Savile Row like in the last video. So
Absolutely.
you happen to be able to be there. Obviously, that makes a big difference too.
It
But it's
doesn't-
another option.
It's another option. Cobbler Union, I believe, does not have the same divestiture of physical stores.
Very true, very true. Cobbler Union only has one physical store. I did a video on them in June, and I purchased a pair of shoes. And by the way, this is now, as of this recording, February 20th of 2023. They told me they've been delayed 3 times, but they're actually supposed to be in this month. Keeping my fingers crossed. And you guys will get to see those. I believe I purchased the William, but it's got a fiddleback waist and closed channel stitching, so I can't wait for that. But,
right.
But you're right. But the Atlanta store that I visited in that June video, they actually did move. I have not seen where their new location is, but they said they were moving. So that's another one. One physical store, Atlanta. One I think in Spain or something like that. And beyond that, it's online. But
Yeah.
based on meeting them, I do have more trust in the online fitting process. Basically, what I found through Cobbler Union is you say, like Allen Edmonds, I fit this way. If it's a common higher-end shoe, they're really well versed at saying, well, ours relative to that fit this way, and knowing your Brannock size. And speaking of Brannock, I have an in-depth interview with an Allen Edmonds master fitter coming up the following week here that's going to teach you exactly how a Brannock device should be used. And I'm willing to bet it's way more information and knowledge that you ever have learned in your life about how to properly measure and size your feet for shoes.
Fantastic.
So as near as I can tell, Loake has several different lines of shoes, starting with the 1880 Classic line, which is the ones Hayden's come from, the Aldwych that he got comes from, and they vary in price starting from about $272 US to about $480. The 1880 Country line is not defined by a higher or lower quality, but to me seems like it's really just things like low ankle boots and derbies with a double oak sole. They vary between $310 to $400. The professional line is between about $200 to $320 and is really more, as the name implies, business professional shoes, including your cap toe Oxfords. Then there's the design series going from $235 to $296, which are really more fashion forward, some kind of different styles in Oxfords and derbies, some of them being more fashion forward, especially in the last shapes. And then lastly, the lifestyle line, which varies from about $80 to $206. These are really more like your casual shoes, your sneakers, your moccasins, boat shoes, lightweight boots, and some kinds of things like that. Any other thoughts?
Not at the moment.
Okay, thank you guys, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Please drop a comment if you've purchased Loake shoes before, if you like them or don't like them, either way, and what your thoughts are compared to Allen Edmonds. All right, have an awesome day. Thank you, everybody.
Nice suit, by the way.
Yes, this is a pandemic special suit. This is from Savile Row and
Savile Lane.
Savile Lane.
Savile Lane.
Yes.
That is a shop in Fairlawn that I featured in a video. I'll link that in the description. But
Yes.
yeah, I like it. It's very nice.
Absolutely.
Yes, awesome.
If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, go to my YouTube page, Robert Powers, and then click on Playlists